Jai Hind, viewers. We come back to you with another interview of a very eminent personality whom I have served alongside during my service. And I feel it is a privilege to be interviewing him today. Lieutenant General Kapil Aggarwal retired as Director General, Corps of Electronics and Mechanical Engineers. A postgraduate from IIT Kharagpur, he also served as Chairman Army Pay Commission Cell, providing the inputs required by the 7th Pay Commission. General Aggarwal also served as technical advisor to the government of Mauritius for close to 3 years. So, General Aggarwal, you have now been you are one of our core members who have been with our group MRO Digest Forums right from the beginning. Not only that, you have anchored as the main speaker one of our webinars, and then more importantly, you were our main speaker in the recently conducted international webinar. And we are very fortunate that you were with us in doing that. Today, we are very lucky to have you with us here. May I request you to tell us a little bit this 1 year which has gone by and the way things have happened? How do you feel, what do you feel of the way MRO Digest Forums platform has evolved? General Aggarwal, please.
Thank you, General Matharu sir, and Jai Hind viewers. I think today we are on the eve of the first anniversary of MRO Digest Forums, a forum which was visualized and conceptualized by General Matharu, that is you, sir. And you started off, in fact, in January 2020, wherein you started that MROdigest.com, which compiles all the news articles about the MRO activities anywhere in the world, and that's a very good ready reckoner for any MRO professional. And from MROdigest.com, you've gone on to MRO Digest Forums, which has chronicled all the articles, videos, monologues, dialogues, and YouTube presentations, etc., and the newsletters, which were given and participated by the various members of the MRO Digest Forums. And the MRO Digest Forums itself, the membership has grown by leaps and bounds. I think it is close to a 3-figure mark today. And I'm sure it is going to grow exponentially with the kind of work which is being done and the kind of discussions and the interactions and the podcasts and webinars which we have been having. And recently, you've also facilitated another forum called MRO Performance, which again is a very, very happy beginning for the MRO professionals. And it has already resulted in some opportunities coming, towards the MRO professionals, where their expertise can be tapped and utilized by whether it is an Indian entrepreneur or an international entrepreneur. So that's very nice. And by doing so, I think you are filling a big void which has existed all these years. And because MRO means, worldwide, MRO means MRO aviation and nothing beyond that. But seen in the larger context, MRO is not only aviation, but MRO in every field and every discipline, every equipment discipline. And the way the platform is evolving, I think now it is gathering critical mass. And in future, I'm sure there would be much better things to happen and much better opportunities would come your way. And I think there is one person to thank for it, and it is General Matharu himself, who is being the driving force behind all these activities. who's got us all on this wonderful platform and got us all talking, got us all sharing our ideas and trying to mull as to what we can do collectively to solve the MRO problems we have, specifically in the defense domain, which are legacy. Most of them are legacy issues and are, very difficult to solve. So more power to you, sir. More power to the platforms, and I'm sure by the second anniversary, this platform would be a very popular platform and very well known, not only nationally and internationally. So,
Yes, indeed, General Aggarwal, the platform was indeed created, and I've been, consulting you, discussing with you, right from so many years, right from the time of MROdigest.com, and now the forums which they have come up, and we have sort of mutually been looking at how to take it forward, and you have come forward and contributed so effectively with your knowledge and wisdom, which we prize, and likewise other members who have joined us. And the reason for the platform is what you have just stated. It's that we need to have a platform like this for MRO professionals, because there wasn't really a platform which we had seen, which is looking after all land systems, marine systems, and aviation systems put together. And that the very it is quite obvious to anybody who looks at it that the human resource which our country has is top class, and in the field of MRO we can most certainly now become sort of a MRO hub of the world, and that work is happening towards that direction in many ways already, I would say. And so we as a group are able to give a professional collective wisdom to anybody who comes to us, and the purpose of the platform is getting solved because of the strength of the members who are joining us. And we would really like if more MRO professionals from all walks of life, not only defense, join in, because there are a lot of commonalities, a lot of best practices which we can share in through articles, through interviews, through panel discussions which we do. So we really hope that after listening to your interview, more and more people join us. And so as we grow, how do you look towards the way the future, we can leverage our platform for doing more good for MRO professionals as a group, and for the country in terms of enhancing our ability to do MRO for all systems worldwide, and thus contributing to our comprehensive national power? General Aggarwal, please.
thank you. Sir, as I mentioned, that this is probably the first ever time the MRO is being taken beyond the aviation industry per se. Of course, in defense domain, we have aviation equipment also. And of course, as you mentioned, land systems and marine systems. So it is for the first ever time that somebody is talking comprehensively of the MRO requirements. And I feel MRO is going to be a sunrise industry, the way, right now there are nothing beyond the aviation sector. So it's a sunrise industry, and the potential is huge. I'm not going to go into the figures of what kind of how many $1 billion of market, etc., is going to be there in 2025 or 30 or 35. We've already spoken of such estimates in the past dialogues which we have had, or interactions we've had with other experts also. I would suffice to say, that there is a gap. Firstly, there is a gap between demand of the MRO, MRO demand, and the supply which the MRO industry can provide as of now. There is a demand, a supply gap, and this gap manifests in various incapabilities in the let's say we are talking of the defense domain per se. So various incapabilities where the equipment availability is low, or their mission reliability is low. And there is so much which the inherent in-house capabilities can do, because they have also got limitations, and beyond which you cannot improve the equipment availability or the reliability. So there is a demand and supply gap, which I feel first there is a scope for documenting it, documenting this demand supply gap in every equipment domain in the defense, whether in land systems, you talk of whether A vehicles or gun systems or radars or aviation equipment. So I think that, the starting thing is you have to document the demand supply gap. And I'm not talking of, like the government comes out with the indigenization lists. 4 of them have come out. They are kind of saying that these are no import, negative import lists, so which have to be the spare parts and components or assemblies or whatever have to be indigenized. I'm saying for the complete gamut. So if we can map the demand supply gap, whether it is spares or assemblies or the equipment per se, the MRO capabilities, each equipment domain, it's going to be a painstaking task. But I think for the private industry or MSMEs to really understand the complete requirements of MRO in the defense domain, we've got to document it. The second thing I want to say is, there is right now a divide between the government sector and private sector. Of course, there have been efforts in the recent past to bridge this divide by various, conferences and seminars conducted by the Ministry of Defense. But still, there is a big divide. And I said, like, divide. One of the ways is to document the gap in the demand and supply MRO. And the other thing is to, build trust in each other. What is happening now today is that the government agency is responsible for MRO. When you talk of privatization or giving it to the private sector, there is some kind of a distrust that probably what is going to happen, and we might lose our in-house our organic capabilities. And on the private sector, they are not very clear as to how to go about things, what to do. And I would dare say that our recent policies on the subject have only, have not been able to bridge this divide. In fact, they may have only widened it. For example, the GOCO, the much talked about initiative. So if it was corporatization, it was fine. If it is, establishment of greenfield projects, it is fine. But when you say that, okay, you take government facilities and, to be operated by private sector, then there are a whole lot of issues which crop in, and which, do favor to nobody, neither the government agency nor the private sector. The government agency doesn't know, that what is going to be its role in future if the private sector comes in and operates its facilities. And the private sector doesn't know, how to go about it, because those facilities are not designed by that, private player. He doesn't know he may or may not have that, skill bank, HR resources, and the capability to take it. So perhaps the better way would have been to allow greenfield facilities to come up in the private sector, which will augment the government sector facilities and enhance the national capabilities, rather than trying to step into each other's domain. That only I would say divides and builds distrust. So I would say that the MRO professionals here, they've got a role. If they can trigger this thought process, that it is better to augment the overall national capability by establishing greenfield capabilities in any sector, whether it is engines or modules or assemblies, whether it is their manufacture or it is their overall. We must look at augmenting the national capability. And here I'll give an example. I think 12 or 13 years back, there was a proposal wherein a private sector entity they had submitted a proposal to overall T-72 tank T-72 engines, and it was supposed to be a greenfield project where they will invest, they will buy land, establish machinery, establish capability, and then look at augmenting the capabilities which the army has or the ordnance factories have, whether the HVF, RD, etc. It was going to augment the capabilities. So for some reason, the proposal did not make headway, and probably it was shelved. So I think, if I remember correctly, it was in 2009-10. So what I'm saying is there is actually a need for such proposals, not only in a vehicles, but in any maybe electronic sector, maybe in helicopters, in aviation, in communication equipment, where the greenfield facilities can come up, and MRO professionals and this platform can trigger this thought process, guide, I would say that put the put the whole thing effort on the right track, instead of trying to create a divide, or having distrust between the government sector and the private sector. The third thing I feel where the potential would lie is, there is, I again see a divide between the OEM and the customer, especially the foreign OEMs, where they would like to keep the major responsibilities of MRO or overall with them. They have, of course, issues of proprietary technology. They have IPR issues, and they don't want to share it, or they don't want to part it. And of course, it is also driven by their profit motive. So we can't just deny that they cannot, or they should not make a profit for something which they have created the capabilities, and they have the IPR. So but the point is, we can help in finding a via media wherein it is a win-win solution for both, and for the OEM also. The OEM, maybe if it's a foreign OEM, he has to take those rotables things transported back to his own country, and that requires, of course, there is a time penalty, and there is a cost penalty also. And if somehow there is a via media that they can through collaboration with a private sector entity, and the MRO professional chip in, and have the thing done, facilities, MRO hubs established for the same in India itself. So there'll be it will be a huge service to the whole MRO setup, and we'll be able to bridge that OEM and customer divide. Now, when I'm saying bridge the OEM customer divide, I'm basically talking of the organized MRO setups. And organized MRO setups could, either in the civil aviation sector you have it, or you have it, of course, in the defense, all the three services, or you have it in railways. We're not talking about railways because it's a niche sector. And rest of the thing, MRO setup is, basically between the manufacturer and the customer. Let's say electronic goods, and so we are not going to get into that. But what I'm saying is, within the organized MRO setup, and specifically in the defense setup, we have a huge potential, and there is a lot which the MRO professionals can do to bridge the gap in this setup. Thanks.
Oh, very impressive, I must say, because what you are touching upon so many things, and each one of them is, let's say it's got so much potential. Each one of the ideas which you have just mentioned here are very practicable. They can be worked upon, and you use this word win-win. May I suggest actually it is a multi-sided win-win. We, whether it's the policymaker, whether it's the government sector, whether it's the public sector, or it's the private sector, MSMEs, everybody. If we can, if there was, I may suggest to the viewers that if there is really anybody who can really look at this thing from every point of view, and maybe try to come out with a multi-sided win-win concept as such, which you have hinted at in what you have said in so many ways, then maybe it is the MRO professionals, because I recollect that the article which you wrote on our platform on HR, the need for us to document the HR and national HR related to MRO, because that will give us a excellent source to tap for anything we do in MRO. And for a multi-sided win-win solution, I think the MRO professional comes in, because even now, I remember, because we, of course, went through very detailed training by virtue of being trained in the armed forces, in the army, because we were the sort of last stop in a difficult situation. You have to know your equipment backwards. Like even now, I think if any EME officer who has done even 30 years back a equipment course was to close his eyes, he will literally see the entire equipment in his mind, and still be able to come out with practical solutions after so much time to an actual maintenance issue which comes up. So because with that sort of a strength which we carry, we also carry another type of strength, if I may say so. That is that, like for example, when Brigadier YVR Vijay was giving in his talk, I interviewed him, that when he moved in from the EME and then he got into the wind energy, the similarities were there. Widely dispersed equipment to be maintained, and then it has to be maintained by few people, and then how do you manage it? So literally the entire part of the what we do in EME with dispersed equipment, came in handy there. That is one aspect. Then he built up based on what he had done in the army, the KPI method of looking at an output. So same thing which we do, he improved it in a way, I would say, and he put it there. Then I remember even you mentioned trust, and in that I would say that General Iswaran, he mentioned about how we can actually quantify trust amongst our people. These are very strong things, because if you are able to quantify and measure, the competence of a person and the integrity which the person is showing on the shop floor, it can really change the way the workforce is approaching the people who are in the leadership roles, and it can make a very positive environment. That's exactly what comes out in his talk which he gives. In fact, I have been requesting him that why doesn't he consider doing some workshops for middle management. I've been suggesting even workshops by Brigadier YVR Vijay for this. The other aspect which our recent who has become a member, that is Mr. Arun Krishna, who was the former general manager in HAL. He said from the industry point of view, if you really look at MRO, while making a product is, let's say, costing about a certain amount of money, the amount of revenue which is actually involved in the MRO is 3/4 of the life cycle cost. And so the industry also has got a little bit of a, I would say, interest in pursuing that in some manner and in a formal manner, because it may lead to a huge amount of saving of money. And then another thing which we have seen, I think, throughout our lives is that especially when we are dealing with equipment where spares are not forthcoming that easily, because of various reasons. Sometimes the equipment is discontinued from where it is originated. But we in EME have always, having the other side of the coin is innovation. We keep innovating, somehow getting it together. And that reason I think we are able to do it is because we know the complete system and what that component is doing in that system. So we are able to somehow think because of our training. So this huge potential which we carry in our veteran armed forces MRO personnel, and I would say in the civil also, this is something which is, I think, an untapped resource, which again, going back to your, the documentation of HR gets linked up there. But if you were to document, then, and heading towards a multi-sided win-win solution. One opportunity which seems to have emerged recently with the government saying that we are looking at doing electronics, becoming a hub for electronics. Like we are also looking at MRO hub for aero aviation, but we are also looking at the possibility. Now, this seems to be a place which is doable, because the right to repair which has come in worldwide is giving an opportunity where you may have a large amount of equipment lying, which is repairable, but because and is falling under the category of right to repair. So the OEM has said, go ahead and repair it. But the people who to repair it or the facilities to repair it are maybe not that easily available everywhere in the world. But in India, they are. And so if you look at electronics items, they are light. So they can be transported. And anything which is come under the right to repair, with proper certification and all that with the OEMs, we could set up facilities in our country, and our HR could, do that. And we would be able to use this as an opportunity to become an electronics component level right to repair linked MRO hub of the world. And a large number of countries may find it better to, instead of creating their own areas where this is happening, to send them to India. So there's so many opportunities which are there, which I just, from taking cues from what you have just mentioned. So now with all of this, I put this question to you as to what you feel is the way ahead for us. How do you think a person who is, listening to our interview today, what do you feel what is the potential of us offering them as a group to benefit them and create a multi-sided win-win situation like you mentioned? General Agarwal, please.
Thank you, sir. I think you've dwelt very beautifully already the potential and the various opportunities we have, and especially the right to repair, etc., and how they are going to change the complete paradigm in the domain of MRO. What I want to bring out is that our objective has to be capability building in the MRO domain, and if the MRO capabilities are built up, and it will not only improve the equipment state, the equipment reliability, but if you do it for, let's say you start exporting things, or you start exporting MRO capabilities, you start establishing MRO hubs abroad for friendly foreign countries, then by doing this capability building in this manner, you are not only enhancing the military power, but the economic, adding to the economic activity also, adding to the economy, and together by enhancing the military power as well as the economic power, you are enhancing the comprehensive national power, which of course has already been discussed in one of the interactions earlier, in fact a couple of times on this forum. What I want to bring out is by means of capability enhancement, capability building, I've already brought out that you have to think of greenfield projects, the big ticket projects to be taken by the larger private sector players. And as far as the manufacture of spare parts, components, assemblies, indigenization is concerned, that can be targeted towards the MSMEs who can take on the whole thing. Now, how we go about it is the main this thing, and you have already made a fantastic beginning by establishing these MRO Digest Forums, MROdigest.com, and now MRO Performance Portal. What I want to suggest, just to simplify things for anybody, any subscriber, anybody in the private sector, or anybody, any international audience, I think if we can put all three on the same page, one to begin with, I'm saying that you have one portal and you have three different links. You can have, you press that, you go to MRO Digest Forum, you go to MROdigest.com and MROperformance.com. So it makes things simpler if you have only one portal and one address. And I don't know, technologically, maybe you or Rahul would be able to say as to how this can be done. And we can crash on it something, whatever you feel, MRO India or something. And like I said, it is something which is a path-breaking thing. No such organization exists today in India which takes care of the MRO in the complete domain, especially the defense domain. And we have the requisite expertise for that. Next, what I want to suggest is that there are already opportunities which you outlined earlier, which are emerging. Now, such opportunities may, more and more such opportunities may come. So, what I want to suggest is you can have a core team, of people who have had the requisite exposure and experience. Maybe core team 5 or 7 or 9 or 10, whatever members that can be decided, and from various specialization domains. And of course, we have a CNC. I mean, not in the army parlance, but we have a coordinator in chief, which of course I would suggest it has to be General Matharu. So we have a core team which takes care, which is there on the website. And then you have in that the various equipment domains, whether it is aviation sector or the mechanical sector or the armament or the guns or the microwave and surveillance. Similarly for the Navy and the Air Force. And plus we have another, the other verticals can be something like, somebody dealing with contracts and somebody dealing with collaborations. Collaborations can be with academia, can be with industry, can be with OEMs. And somebody, a vertical dealing with seminars and webinars. Then a vertical dealing with technical database and the HR skills which you spoke, and we can create a database, and that could be one vertical. And another vertical could be sponsorship and marketing. So now once you have these clearly defined verticals, I've just given a broad approximate rough idea, so which can be refined further. And if you have these verticals and each of them being led by, let's say, you can christen him a vice president. Okay, you have a core team, you have these verticals led by vice presidents, and these people, which whatever be their vertical responsibility. Like I said, we have to document the gap. If it's an equipment domain, they can start with the documenting the gaps which are there, so that the private sector or anybody interested in knowing whether it's an MSME or a large player, they have somebody to consult straight away, and he whatever questions, queries he has, there is an answer to that. So these verticals can be, suitably questioned, whether led by a vice president and all. And it's time we not only have engineers and or, officers, or better call them engineers and specialists, but we have the equipment technicians also, whether diploma holders or this thing. So we create a full-fledged, under a vertical, we create a full-fledged team. And let's say when opportunity comes, some MRO opportunity coming, so that vertical gets activated automatically, and one of the mentors is assigned, whichever mentor wants to take on. And under the mentorship of that core team member, that vertical gets on the job. And otherwise also it is doing something, housekeeping, I said, recording the gaps and documenting the gaps and keeping the things ready. And whenever an opportunity comes, you have a ready team. So I think way forward is we could look at making integrated teams and in different verticals, and mentors to guide it through. And when it comes to other staff support, whether it's training or contracts or something, somebody who are experts in that domain, and a vice president leads it. So that could, I think, there's a rough idea, I have, which when refined, I think, and single portal, appropriately, suitably titled, and with different links, it'll take you to different pages. And then the visibility increases, the visibility of the portal increases, and then we can have something which, firstly, some MRO in India, and ultimately MRO abroad. We can collaborate, we can do consultancy, how to go about it. And I think the potential is immense, and I'm sure with your guidance and your driving the way it has been done last 1 year. In fact, I'm simply amazed at the kind of output which has been generated in last 1 year, and I find it difficult to keep it up. So many discussions and seminars and dialogues and monologues have happened. So, but I'm sure with so many things happening, people will log on to whatever is of interest to them. I'm talking of the private sector and MSMEs. So they will log on, they'll latch on to whatever is of interest to them. We have to provide, them the choice and a platform, and I'm sure the platform will grow leaps and bounds in the coming 1 year. That's it.
Thank you very much, General Aggarwal. Actually, I was listening to you very carefully, and you have literally painted a complete picture of what the future can possibly be. And so it's like a vision. And that's why I think it is a visionary thought which you have shared. And from what I see, especially in this case, as you're well aware, you mentioned Rahul. Actually, Rahul and his company, handysolver.com, they are the backup to me. So the one reason we have been able to do what we have been able to do over the last 1 year is because we got full support from them. They are like our complete backup. Because obviously these things cannot happen without technology, and so without their help, honestly, we would not. So we are thankful to handysolver.com and Rahul for doing this for us. And from what with their help in some manner, I think each one of the things which you have said is possible. And this is a brilliant idea that we bring everything under one portal, so to say, and then from there, leads can go to different areas, like you mentioned, verticals. So I think this is feasible, and we will start working towards this now, especially as we are on the, we will step into our second year. Maybe we will try to work, and I'll keep discussing with you, and we will see how we can take it forward. Essentially, it all boils down in my mind. The technology we will be able to create, we'll put it together. But all it really boils down, I feel, is to the participation. So since we are an informal think tank, we are an informal organization. As of now, it's like pro bono. There is no sort of other than the support I'm getting from handysolver.com, which is luckily being given to me pro bono by them. So we are able to do, but at some stage when we are able to get a revenue stream, then maybe we can make it even more robust whenever that happens. But even without that, we can do a fairly reasonable amount of work in our present resources towards what you just mentioned. And I will give it a thought. Maybe I'll come out with a little bit of concept. I'll listen to your interview once again, what you just mentioned, and then we can think through something. But again, I will say the whole strength of this whole plan. We can create a platform, but the strength will come through the membership. So some of our members, whoever, like in this case, MRO Performance. Actually, MRO Performance has come about because General Brigadier YVR Vijay has taken on the responsibility, and he has put in a lot of work, created that website and under his own resources. So likewise, if we are able to identify people who are able to take on these lead roles, which you have mentioned, of verticals, whether it's contracts or whether it's HR or whatever the gaps you are mentioning, then what I can bring out of the table, or rather, along with the help of Rahul and his company, we can try to give the technology to support them.
Yes.
So, once the technology is in place, whatever that technology may be, to be able to support them, then we will be able to, I think, do this in a manner in which you are saying. It is feasible. It is feasible. It's not something which is beyond our reach, I think. And you have given me a lot of food for thought. And we will work towards that. Eventually, start with one place from where everybody is able to
Yes.
go out to these various places. And one very good thing about what you just said is then the gaps will also become visible.
Mm. Yes.
So what I am looking at is amongst the viewers also, if anybody feels that they want to contribute, they're most welcome or to head one of these things which General Agarwal just mentioned. We would, it'll be very nice if you join us and help us grow this channel, this effort. The bottom line again remains that we provide this channel for MRO professionals to come together and to come out with their insights and wisdom, share it as a group so that the current decision makers, wherever, whether in the armed forces or outside, are able to gain from the experience of the people who have gone before them and benefit from it. So that is the main purpose of this portal in any case. So what you're saying is rightly following into that same sort of approach which we have been having. So with that, viewers, we come to an end of another one of our interviews, and it was a pleasure talking to General Kapil Aggarwal, and we hope to have him with us in future discussions and panel discussions. And we look forward to having our viewers back. And we recommend to you that you may like to subscribe to our channel if you feel our content is good. Looking forward to having you back with us for future interviews and panel discussions. Thank you very much, viewers. And once again, after thanking General Kapil Aggarwal, I'll bring this particular interview to a close. Thank you and Jai Hind.